Peace and blessings. This is Raisa Ghiwala, the divorced Muslima coach. This is the month of the Quran, and we can all find solace in the Quran for your specific situation or our global situation. Whether you are divorced, going through it, or you just found that your marriage has broken down, the solution of being in lockdown and divorce, being and feeling alone, is found in this verse. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest. So, this is from a way of being, not as a doing, but in a state of peace. So, we are going to go through this month with the verses, different verses of the Quran that I share with you through this lens. So, let's take a look at this first verse. And it comes from chapter 65, verse 2. And whoever fears Allah, He will make a way out for him. Now, ironically or strategically, or let's look at this, divinely, this verse is placed in the chapter on divorce, right? And what we can take from this verse is for us to start recognizing the fearful thoughts that you're having and connecting it back to who is in control. Who should we be fearing, right? And who are you actually fearing? The hint here is take a look at your thoughts, right? Because your thoughts are going to give you all these answers, right? Because we cannot have peace if there is fear of the wrong things. And Allah is telling us what is okay to be afraid of. Fear is normal. The feeling of fear is normal, but checking into ourselves of what is that fear rooted in is going to give us a lot of our answers. So, fear leads to panic and anxiety and despair, feelings of perhaps even being distraught. And that doesn't allow us to have good judgment and good thinking. And like I mentioned, if there is that emotion of fear, where we are not going to be able to navigate and think properly, right? So take this opportunity to pause, to slow down, and perhaps even spend some time alone outside. I'm really enjoying, and perhaps you can even hear the birds, and I'm really enjoying my time alone outside. So I think that is during this time where there's a lot of loneliness and we are feeling alone because that socialization is not there, yet we're all like cooped together with our own family members, and that's bringing up stuff, on its own. But perhaps spend some time alone with yourself outside, in nature, where you can take a look at the greenery, you can take a look at the birds, you can take a look at the flowers. And, if you don't have a yard, perhaps going in your patio or your balcony, or perhaps just even looking at the sky, looking up at the sky, and being able to sit alone with yourself. Because a lot of times we struggle with sitting alone with ourselves, and we want to have a distraction that is going to take us away from that uneasiness of sitting alone with yourself. Perhaps reaching for our phone, perhaps going to Netflix, or perhaps even eating and stuffing ourselves with food, mindlessly. And now that it's Ramadan, we can't do that as well either. And so my takeaway here is start becoming more aware of yourself, right? Your feelings and your thoughts, and that's it. Just start there. Notice, observe, pay attention to yourself. And perhaps you don't know your emotional feelings yet, but perhaps the physical feelings, and it could be headaches, sweaty palms, stomach ache, tightness in the chest, and just butterflies in the stomach, being antsy, feeling hopeless, or maybe snapping at your family members. Perhaps you can recognize those things and try to pause and reflect, perhaps going outside in a way if you are finding yourself snapping and just getting irritable and irritated. Right? See if you can recognize if you're living in this present moment or not in your mind. Check into where is your mind. Are your thoughts somewhere in your past, or are your thoughts somewhere thinking about what could happen, what would happen in the future? And try to ground yourself in the present moment. And that's really, really helpful to do when you're outside in nature. And remember, I started this with, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Sometimes, even though we are remembering Allah, in dhikr or in prayer or whatever, we still don't find that peace. And there is a piece of the puzzle that I haven't told you about yet, and it's how we understand our experience of this life. Understanding that our feelings and emotions could be getting in the way of that good connection with Allah. Right? We all know that signal we get in the phone when it says poor connection. Your signal to your GPS is not strong. Right? What happens when you're having intense feelings? You kind of go haywire, right? You lose your emotional intelligence, your resilience, and you just start reacting. So check into yourself, and if you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Raisa Ghiwala, to get the videos as they come out this Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum, Tallahi barakatuhu.